Hey, what's up, Vox&Hops heads? I'm Matt, the vocalist of Cryptopsy, and you're listening to my podcast, Vox&Hops, where I sit down with fellow metal musicians and we talk about their lives, music, and craft beer. I hope that you guys had a great week. I have had a great week. The holidays are coming. We all got to relax a little bit. We got to take it easy. Don't let the stresses of the holidays get to us, because sometimes the holidays can be stressful. But it's important to remember what they're about. They're about family, about love, and maybe about craft beer. Devastation on the Nation 2020 is upon us, featuring Rotting Christ, Borknagar, Wolfheart, Abigail Williams, and Imperial Triumphant. This festival is brought to you by Metal Festival Tours, Continental Concerts USA, and yours truly, the Vox&Hops Podcast. I am super stoked to be an official sponsor this year, and what a fucking lineup we got. The tickets are now on sale. You should absolutely grab yours if you want to go to this tour, because some of the dates have already sold out, and I can guarantee you that more dates will sell out. So if you want to go to this tour, you want to come to Devastation on the Nation 2020, one of the year's best parties, best tours, you better grab your tickets now. You can do that via the link in the description of this podcast, or you could simply go to metalfestivaltours.com. As always, the best way to support the Vox&Hops podcast is by going to the Vox&Hops Big Cartel page. This podcast is a labor of love. It is not something I do for any financial gain. The whole purpose of the Vox&Hops podcast is for me to connect with fellow metal musicians, have great conversations, and then share those conversations with the rest of the world. It's also about sharing some of my favorite beers with the rest of the world. It's something that I've always done with my metal brothers and my metal sisters before starting the podcast. If you would like to support the Vox&Hops podcast, you can go to the Vox&Hops Big Cartel page. Up there right now, we have the pre-orders for the When in Doubt, One More Stout t-shirt. This is another limited edition t-shirt designed by Andrew Tremblay, the graphic artist that designs all of the Vox&Hops merchandise. That shirt will be available for another few weeks, and then it's gone. You won't be able to get it again. You'll have missed the boat, so if you want the When in Doubt, One More Stout t-shirt, you better act quickly. We also have a few Vox&Hops cuff knit beanies left. It's getting cold up here in Canada. You'll look great, and you'll feel warm. We still have a few of the Vox&Hops branded 9-ounce tasting glasses, the exact style of glassware that I like to use when I'm at home drinking craft beer. Any support that I receive is greatly appreciated. It all goes back into the podcast to help pay for my hosting, creating new designs, getting some beer for my guests, and getting the Vox&Hops alumni shirts printed and out to them. Today on the podcast, I'm with Ian Bear, the vocalist of Rings of Saturn. Here it is, Vox&Hops, episode number 95.
I warn you, what you are about to hear is very disturbing indeed.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Today I'm with Ian Bear, the vocalist of Rings of Saturn.
Yes, sir.
And we're recording this at Foufounes Electriques. This is actually my first Vox&Hops interview in the downstairs of Foufs. I've done a few upstairs, one or two upstairs in the backstage, but this is the first time.
Breaking the mold.
Yeah, so let's tell everyone a little about yourself. Let's go back into your childhood.
Getting deep in it.
Always, right away.
Deep in it.
Growing up in your house, what music was playing? What would be the soundtrack to your youth?
So, basically, I grew up in a very, 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 small town. It's called Ford City, Pennsylvania. Graduated with, less than 100 people. So, it was very, backwoodsy and kind of just not a whole lot going on, basically. You just kind of had to, make your own entertainment, make your own fun, just go into the woods, figure shit out, and just kind of see what happens out there. Basically, growing up, didn't honestly listen to a whole lot of music. It was more or less just, I guess, what my friends had been listening to, or what I heard from outside sources. I've never been much into listening, I guess. My whole life I've been just a huge fan of silence, and which is odd because here I am in this hectic metal, weird, spacey vibe band going on. So I guess, I just kind of feel like creating more than listening, I suppose.
How do you cope with that if you appreciate silence so much, living in this hectic touring lifestyle where silence is a very rare thing?
It's kind of a breath of fresh air, because at home, like if I go somewhere, like if I've got nothing going on, it's basically just silence, nothing crazy. So it is nice to go on tour and kind of get thrown into this just world of chaos, and it really makes me appreciate home, and then home like really makes me appreciate tour, because both have aspects that like can't really get with one another.
Vox&Hops is all about hanging out and drinking craft beer with fellow metal musicians. Today on the podcast, once again, we are having the Boreal du Nord-Est. It is one of the best New England IPAs up here in Quebec. It is available here at Foufounes, and that's why we're drinking it.
Here we are.
Cheers.
Cheers.
It's delicious, creamy.
That is delicious. We've actually been looking for a decent IPA up here.
Well, this is your go-to one for tonight.
This is a great one.
Yeah. Are you a craft beer enthusiast?
I am, actually. I used to just kind of survive off of like Bud Light and PBR for years, and then we had Jesse Bueller drumming for us for a minute, and he kind of turned me on to like, he's like, listen, you don't have to drink this like piss water. He's like, there's good beer out there with a higher alcohol content, so it tastes better and it'll expedite the process of getting drunk. So you don't gotta put 8 hours into drinking 20 Bud Lights to get somewhere.
On that note, I have as I was coming here today, I was having a conversation with a Vox&Hops alumni, Alexander Kendrick.
Oh yeah.
And when you said you don't have to put 8 hours of drinking Bud Light into it,
there it is.
He told me that I should ask you about how many light beers you have to drink in France.
Oh my God. So, Jesus. So him and I, Kendrick and I, we were in Europe a few years ago, and they had these like, they were just like little like normal Pilsners. They were like 3.5% or something. And him and I, collectively throughout the night, we had gone through, I think, over 2 cases of these things. Like I had a full case, he had a full case, and then I'm fairly certain that we started taking other people's beers because nobody wanted them. No one wanted to put the work into it. But him and I we're resilient and we're persistent. So it upwards of over 50 beers between him and I, and then however many rogue ones were kind of sacrificed in that process. So it's not an easy thing, but we'll get there.
Take me back to that first Bud Light. Do you remember your first experience with beer?
I do. I was staying with my best friend Nick, and we were pretty young. I don't remember how young, but his pap had like beers downstairs in the fridge, and he had like a little flask locked away in this liquor cabinet. And we finally we found these beers. We're like, oh, wonder what the hell this does. So we drank a few, and we're like, okay, we're like, this is all right. And then it kind of we went from having the Bud Lights like in Yinglings. I'm from Pennsylvania, so we're very fond of just Yingling, sipping beers. And once I got that, we got that kind of taste there, then I was like, all right. And I was like, I can probably fit my arm behind this door here underneath this lock and see what's in this like little metal flask. And
the temptation.
It was like Curious George. I tried a beer, then I was like, all right, I wonder what whiskey is like, and then I wonder what vodka's like, and then I wonder what tequila's like, and then you just kind of go through the process throughout the years and find out what hurts you, I guess, what liquors are punishable. So I've got it down to pretty heavy beers now, and whiskey is what I like to stick to. I've had too many bad experiences with vodka, with tequila. It's just stick to my dark liquor now.
Take me to those go-to craft beers. What do you drink? What style?
I like pretty much like the higher alcohol content. I like double IPAs, Imperial Stouts. I had a really nice Imperial Porter last night in Ottawa, I think we were in. But go-tos at home if I'm drinking heavier beers. I am a fan of La Fin de Mon. I think that's how you pronounce it.
That is exactly how you pronounce it.
And,
Beauty Brew, local pride.
Yeah, the triple Belgian. Those will get you, 9-10%. You drink a few of those, you're feeling good. I got turned on to sours recently, just because they're just different to me. Like, it's not like the standard, like wheat or like hoppy or something. It's like a different little tang in there that I enjoy.
It's almost a little bit closer to wine, almost.
Yeah.
It's more complex, too.
Yeah.
Well, it's complex in a different way.
Yeah. I'm a fan of sours. I've never been too into ciders. I know there's a lot of people out there that will drink like the Angry Orchard and just like hard ciders, but I don't know. It's just, I don't want to taste apple juice if I'm like drinking alcohol. Like,
let's touch on something. This is also directed towards Kendrick. What's up with White Claw? I'm in Canada, so I don't know what this is.
So
explain White Claw. What is it to me, and why does everyone love it?
I've only had a handful of White Claws in my day. I'm not the biggest fan of them, but I can see the appeal to people. So they're, most people will go to a bar, get a PBR, get like a basic domestic beer, Coors Light to sip on. They're sitting around, 4 or 4.2% with like calories and whatnot. And so now this White Claw thing came out, and they're 5%, so like you got a decent like base percentage there. Not a lot of calories in them, and they pretty much just taste like flavored water.
But it gets you fucked up. Okay, I get it.
Will wreck you. But
I get it.
I got White Claw drunk one time.
Did it say White Clawed?
Yeah, I got clawed, I suppose.
You go.
And it's like for me, it's like a different feeling of drunk. Like, it's not like a beer drunk. It's not like a...
What is in it? Is it malt liquor?
I'm honestly not sure. We were actually trying to figure that out recently, whether it was like malt liquor. Someone said it's vodka in it, so that might be why. If it is vodka, that could be why
it fucks you up.
Didn't like cope with me very well. It is a different feeling. It's like, it's hard to explain, but do you know like LaCroix, like the seltzer water, or like bubbly?
Yeah.
It's like drinking bubbly or LaCroix that just fucks you up, like, and you don't even realize it's happening because like it just tastes. They
go down so easily.
Yeah, it just tastes like a little drink.
I haven't had one. I'll definitely try one if I get my chance, but I'm sure I'm going to appreciate craft beer much more.
Yeah, it's worth a shot. I much prefer craft beer, but it's out there, so why not give it a try if you're able to?
Do you think Rings of Saturn could ever make their own craft beer, like a collaboration with a brewery? What style beer would that be? That
would be amazing. We're actually huge fans of. It's called Surly in Minneapolis.
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome metal brewery, awesome beers. If we were to, I don't know what it would be. If we were to kind of make a beer, I would want it to be like pretty punishing. Like I would want it to get up 9-10%.
I think it would sort of have to, because you guys are so extreme.
Yeah, it's got to be.
You guys are out of this world already.
Meet the demand of
like 13%
of
triple IPA.
Triple IPA or like triple Belgians.
And what would you call it?
That's a good question. I honestly don't know.
Ales of Saturn.
Ales of Saturn.
How about we go back to when you started screaming? Why do you scream in an extreme metal band?
So, ironically enough, I was never like too into metal at first, but I had friends that listened to like Lamb of God and Slipknot and stuff back in the day, and I actually started doing vocals kind of making fun of it almost, because I was like, oh, all they're doing is going like, and like I just did like a random noise, and my buddy was like, he's like, that wasn't bad at all. He's like, I know you don't like it, but he's like, you might have like a weird knack for something. And then sure as shit, I started to listen to it. It started to like really grow on me. I started kind of utilizing this weird talent for making strange noises, and here I am. It just kind of snowballed into this whole thing that I never really expected to happen.
That's funny because that's exactly how Randy Bly
Yeah.
started as well,
Is it?
from what I've read.
Yeah, I was just dicking around. Yeah, that's literally how it happened. And
what
then,
would be some of those early, or who would be some of those early Scream influencers?
It started out like Lamb of God back in the day, like Slipknot. I heard Iowa from Slipknot, and I was like, holy shit! I was like, this is pretty gnarly. And then I kind of just like jumped from that kind of style into like At the Gates and like early, like even early Whitechapel or like stuff like that. So I kind of once I started to listen to it, I kind of got out of that liking silence mold for a couple years, and then it kind of like I wanted to like hone in my like kind of style and my sound and everything. So I started listening to people and kind of getting this kind of collective of what the generalized like vocal repertoire would kind of be, and just tried to like mold it into my own kind of sound, and just kind of took it from there, and here we are.
How did you go about developing your voice, taking it from that joking growl to where you are today?
So I did a lot of, I used to have like a YouTube channel where I would do vocal covers of just, anything that I could think of really, or anything that I would attempt to cover. And it would just range from like a bunch of different vocal techniques and like a bunch of different tones and, things that I wouldn't even necessarily do in a song, but still wanted to just be able to do it, just to kind of strengthen, different aspects of what I wanted to do. I just kind of took it was like a melting pot of just kind of things that I enjoyed, or noises or tones that I have heard, and just kind of tried to make it into one weird thing that kind of I try to like stick out as much as you can in this industry, and just kind of.
Who do you think is at the top of their game right now, the most extreme, most talented extreme vocalist?
There's so many good vocalists out there in like different aspects. It's really hard to say because so many people are so good at their own thing that it's really hard to pinpoint like a certain individual that's like really, really on top of it. I feel like the bar is so high nowadays for vocals than what it was like 10 years ago or so, just because there's so many extreme bands out there now.
It's because of your YouTube tutorials. They all learn the tricks.
The tutorials and everything. And it's like, the bar is so high compared to what it was, just because people growing up on this extreme metal, now it's just kind of, there's just so much going on.
Well, I think it's because it's so much more accessible now.
Exactly, yeah.
People can, back in the day, you had to get handed that tape.
Exactly. Now
in the tape trading era, you had to get that Chris Barnes so that you can get that influence. Nowadays, you just stumble into a rabbit hole. You have Spotify, you have iTunes.
Exactly.
Saying you like this, you'll like this, and then it ends up being this fluid transition from this guy to that guy, this influencer, that influencer.
Exactly.
I think you're right about that, yeah.
It's hard to keep up with nowadays. Like, and even still with as many like unique extreme vocalists that there are nowadays, there are a lot of kind of rehashed kind of, like people doing the same thing, but there's also just this like outburst of just new and weird, and like people trying, different techniques and different tones and tongue positionings and everything just to try to, up the bar even further and further. So it's cool.
Doing a headlining set, I was standing with Vox&Hops alumni during your sound check, Kyle Anderson, and he was like, I don't know how you guys do headlining sets. And I was like, dude, you just do it.
You just do it,
and you'll be fine, trust me. But how do you stay healthy? How do you tour and keep your voice healthy? What is your approach to that?
I've honestly, like, strangely enough, I've never, for whatever reason, I've never needed to, like, warm up or really worry too much about it. Like, I don't know why, but I would just get on stage, like do an hour-long set, and just be fine for some reason. Like,
you just must have the right technique.
Yeah. However, whatever I'm doing to like, yeah, make these tones and make these noises is like, it's not exhausting. Like, I'll get physically exhausted just from like playing the show and everything, but as far as like my voice and everything goes, I don't know if I'm used to it or if I'm just have some sort of whatever I'm doing just doesn't really wear down on me. And whenever we record albums, I think the longest I've had to record an album is like 2.5 days, 3 days.
That's the longest that you've taken to record an album.
So,
wow.
Well, that's like the allotted time that I had. So like since I've been in Rings, I've just been used to doing like 8 to 10 hour days in the studio for like days at a time. So that might have something to do with it. Just like having, like, you have to do it like 8-10 hours. Gotta figure out how to not fuck yourself up, I guess. It's a weird thing, and I wish I could explain it to other vocalists, but I have no idea.
What about in those times of silence? Do you scream? Is it something? Do you keep it warm, your voice? Is it something that you use when you're not touring?
So outside of tour, like, my friend group and I, we're just a bunch of fucking idiots. Like, we just make weird noises like all day. So it's not like I'm not necessarily doing vocals, but I'm still like making these weird ass sounds for no reason whatsoever. And it's still like working parts of the vocal cord and like still doing something. So I'm not just like, it's not just talking all day. It's like weird sounds and whatnot, just fucking off with my friends.
At what point would you like to start doing voices for like video games?
Oh my god.
Movie monsters?
Dude, that is something I want to do so badly.
Is there a scene in Pennsylvania where that could be possible?
There's not much going on, at least where I live in Pennsylvania, to really capitalize on that. I really gotta outsource and like figure out how to get my foot in the door for that kind of thing, because I would just absolutely love to do monster noises in video games, or just like movies, or just like weird soundtracks for movies and stuff, because if there's anyone out there that can make crazy noises, it's like metal vocalists. Like, so that's something that I would love to do. I know Travis from Cattle to Cap, he's gotten in there, and it's fucking sick. And,
there's a Vox&Hops alumni that lives here in Montreal called Sébastien Croteau, and he is in charge of a whole monster squad where he directs other metal singers from Montreal in a whole bunch of video games and a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, that's something I would love to do. And I know James from Black Crown Initiate, he's been in like the Skyrim Oblivion game, and I think he was just in the new Doom game coming out. They hired a bunch of metal vocalists to make like a demon
metal choir.
Yeah, exactly.
Sven from Aborta was in that too.
Yeah. So people, it's something that metal vocalists are starting to do, and it's something that I want to be included in as well.
From what I heard from what Sébastien told me is that back in the day they used to like take a whole bunch of time in studio to mix together like a hippopotamus sound with an elephant, with a gorilla, to try to get a sound and then tweak it.
Yeah,
whereas
exactly.
we could walk in and we could nail it
and just do something.
We just nail it and on time, so they don't have to edit anything.
So yeah, if any video game people are out there, hit me up.
Yeah, Ian's all about it.
I am.
If you could travel back in time and relive one tour that you've done because you had so much fun, what tour, what lineup would that be?
Let me think here. I've had so many good times. I've never had like a bad tour, I think. Like, even so, like the first tour I ever did, I was literally fresh out of high school. Like,
wow.
Hopped on. It was with Aborted, Cattle to Cap, and Origin, and first tour ever. I like went into it with like stars in my eyes. I was like, oh my god. I was like, I'm finally going.
That's
on
a great
tour.
lineup too.
And yeah, it was an amazing lineup, and it was a shit show. But like I still had
a shit show in what
so
like turnouts or
no, like the turnouts were great. Like everybody had a great time, but like we there was a previous member that like he crashed the van and like we got stranded in it was like Illinois or something for like a week while the van got fixed, and it like took every dime that we had just to get back on the road. And then our album got leaked, and like it was just like one thing after another. Like something bad happened, but like I still had an amazing time. Like I was like,
it's that first tour.
Yeah, I was like, this is fucking great. And I really can't think of like my favorite tour. I literally, like, every time I'm out, I have a great time. It's just amazing, like meeting new people or meeting up with old people that you've toured with prior, and just kind of reconnecting with everybody that you haven't seen in a while. And yeah, I just make the best of it every tour. And
touring with people, you sort of like become like metal brothers.
Exactly, yeah. It's
and
like
then sometimes it could be like 9 months you don't see your metal brother.
Yeah.
But then you hang out again and everything's exactly the same. And I love that. I love that.
Didn't skip a beat. And that's one thing that is so good about touring is you just build this like giant, awesome metal family, and it's just amazing. So yeah, I make the best of it, and I fucking love it. Can't think of doing anything else with my life right now, and yeah, I just love it, man.
Lucas is back touring with the band.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
It feels like it feels complete now. Like we've got Joel back on second guitar. He was the original second guitarist, and we did like a 3-piece band for a while, which like is not ideal, but we made it work. And we flew in a guy, Yosuke, from Japan for a couple tours to fill in on guitar while Lucas
when Joel couldn't be there.
Yeah, well, Joel was there, and then Lucas couldn't be there. He had some stuff to figure out. So we flew in Yosuke, and that was great, just having a fourth body up on stage. It felt like lopsided, like heavy to one side, because there was nothing on.
Well, that and Lucas is such a big integral part of the band.
Exactly, yeah. And having him back, I know the fans are excited.
What were those times like when you're touring and he's not there as a 3-piece? That must have been strange.
It was really strange. Like, it felt weird on stage. Like the vibe on stage was just like it felt like just a piece was missing, because there was a piece missing. And but yeah, we just hucked it out and made it work. And yeah, now everything is back to normal, and it feels good. The shows have been great. Everyone's hanging out, having a good time, and yeah, it feels complete again, which is awesome.
And the fans must be happy to have Lucas back.
Yeah, they are. They're very, very ecstatic, and yeah, a lot of people missed him out there. So I'm glad he's back at it, back ripping, and hope he's having a good time, because I know I am. So.
What about the missing bassist? At what point are you guys going to be a full lineup?
I'm not sure if Rings will ever have a live bassist. It's been like, I think it's been 6 years or so since we've had one.
What are some of the complications with having a full band?
I think we're just so used to just working with one another. At this point, it would just be like throwing a wrench in the mix almost. It's like we've got it down, like we've got our writing down to a science. We've got our, live show mapped out the way that we're used to and everything. So I think it would just be like a huge change that like we're really not ready for yet. So yeah, we've got it dialed in the way that we like it and the way that we're comfortable with. Maybe down the road sometime, but yeah, at the moment it's just
like the perfect member falls from space.
Meteor crashes down in the middle of a show and he crawls out of a pod, and we're like, oh, there he is.
What about the lyrical process? Are you involved with writing the lyrics?
I write all the lyrics. Yeah.
So take me through your creative process. Do you receive music first? Or are you the type of guy that has like a book where you write lyrics? Are you a scribbler, or?
It's a little bit of both. I'm always like jotting ideas down. Like if I'll have like a fleeting thought, I'll make sure to like write it down. Whether if I don't have a pen or a pad, I'll just type it in my phone. So I'm kind of constantly like collecting ideas, even if we're not in like an album writing process. I still like to have just something to kind of build off of whenever it comes to that point. So yeah, I'm always coming up with lyrics. As far as like placing them for like the patterns and everything, like where to put them, they'll write the guitars, and then they'll send the guitars out, have the drums, all written for that. So I'll get the music, and then I'll just kind of like sit down, have like all my spreadsheets of like all these random phrases and random words and everything. Then I'll kind of like start piecing it together as sort of a collective thought. And as far as the placement, when I hear a guitar part or something that I want to put vocals to, I do this thing, I call it like the Scribble Technique. So like I'll take a pencil and like I'll just make like zigzags with the syllables that I hear in my head. So like I'll just make a bunch of like weird little zigzags, and then I'll go through, count the zigzags, and kind of match up the syllables with like phrasings that I'd had before. Yeah. And just kind of puzzle piece it in there.
That's a really, really good idea.
So instead of trying to sit there and like make words fit and just like trying to figure it out, I just count it up, get my syllables, and then just kind of chip away at that and just place everything properly in there to
cool.
Fix it.
That's cool. It's a really good idea. Yeah. If you could go back in time and bring yourself one CD, one digital album, and present yourself with it back when you were younger, that you would, like advance your career faster, what would that be?
It would probably be like one of the albums that had got me into it. I would have liked to have been into metal at an earlier age, so I wouldn't place myself with something so extreme. So it might be like it would probably be like early Slipknot if I was younger, just to like ease my younger psyche into this kind of extreme metal thing,
while still having some accessibility within it.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, something not too crazy, but something that was still like a stepping stone for this this heavy industry. So yeah, I go like Iowa, just something like that, but earlier than I was able to access it or get into it. Yeah, nothing too crazy.
Ian, thank you so much for coming, drinking a pint with me, being on Vox and Hops.
Hell yeah.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Buffalo. Hey, thank you all so much for listening right to the end. You know that I love and appreciate that. Ian's such a cool dude, such a great vocalist. Really happy that I got the chance to catch up with you, Ian. Just love chatting with fellow vocalists, digging into their minds, digging into their techniques. It's one of my favorite things to do, and it's something that I've done since the beginning of my career as a vocalist. I've always liked to dig into vocalists, see where they came from, see how they got their techniques, sense out and express some of my insecurities, and see if they share them. So it's something that I've always done, so I love doing it on Vox and Hops and sharing it all with you. For the past 2 weeks, I've released the new Vox and Hops segment episodes on Tuesday called Vox and Hops Metal Brewer Talks. I love this segment. I have connected with metal brewers from around the globe and tasted their brews. It's something that I really enjoy, obviously. And I'm looking forward to doing more of them. So if you are a metal brewer, which means that you like metal music and you brew craft beer, you could send me a message via the Vox and Hops social media pages, or you could simply send me an email to matt@voxandhops.com. That's matt@voxandhops.com. And I will tell you how this works, and we'll get it rolling. If you are a metal brewer, I want to talk to you. If you know of any metal brewers, please point them my way. I'm stoked to try beers from around the world, and I'm even more excited to speak to the people that have made them. I hope that you guys have a great weekend. Try to relax throughout this holiday season. Just kick back, enjoy your family, enjoy your loved ones, and remember to enjoy life, metal, and craft beer. Cheers, Vox and Hops heads.